Thank you, Lazarus. Thank you for the introductions. A very good morning to our academics and senior students. I'm Suren from the Law Library, and I'm here to talk about, given the constraints of time, very, very briefly, predatory journals and selecting your journal of choice. Okay, as you can see, I've given you an infographic here, which is divided into two panes, right? When you come across a website, you'll be able to tell whether it's phony or legit by various parameters. And some of them would be, you look at a website and you see the kind of information that's displayed by the publisher or so-called publisher, right? Whether there's an editorial board, guarantees of manuscript attendance, publication, right? As opposed to a legitimate website where you have contact information is verifiable and accurate, text and navigation is clear and accurate and helpful, industry standard metrics are clearly displayed, and the links work. So with a little bit of practice and a little bit of reading between the lines, one will develop skills on how to identify a fake publisher website and a genuine publisher website, right? You will get the presentation after this. I know it's a little bit fuzzy, but you'll get the presentation after I finish talking. You'll be able to, at your leisure, look at all the different parameters in a fictitious or fake website as opposed to a genuine website. What is a predatory journal? A predatory journal is usually a journal that has no verifiable academic credentials, and as such, these journals are managed by editorial boards whose subject and disciplinary coverage is questionable. Further, a predatory journal will allude to expert scholars who do not exist, who have been represented as part of an editorial board without their permission. What are the dangers of publishing in predatory journals? There's a risk of negative impact to the scholar's reputation. There's a risk of signing away copyright intellectual property. There's the risk of not being compensated for research and publishing costs. And finally, the risk of contributing to or complication of authentic research and tricks. How to identify a predatory journal? You can identify a predatory journal where you see there is no clear guideline or policy relating to plagiarism and the article review processes. Contact email addresses are suspicious or reflect non-journal related addresses. Article processing charge, APC, is not within the expected charge range. It's either too low for the standard rates currently charged. The coverage and scope of the publication is unclear, vague. There's aggressive soliciting of authors and pressure to publish, and the review period is too short. As you progress in your research, you will know that publishers normally require much more than 30 days for the review to turn around. Okay? I come from the days of where you had to publish manually with galley proofs. So yes, the same principle has cascaded through, but you will find in your publishing practice how to identify these fake journal publishers. All right, I want to touch a little bit now on the way you can find a list, right? There's a list in this presentation of the updated 2024 Higher Education Approved Journal List, which applies to the university. Then I also want to talk about something very, very special that you will like. It's the transformative agreements that we have with publishers, which is an agreement between an institution and a publisher. In our case, it's managed nationally by the SANLIC, which is the South African National Libraries Consortium, and these transformative agreements are aligned to the open access ethic, right? The university either partially or fully covers your publishing charge, which now is also contributing to open access. Now, I've given you links here for the research and publishing, read and publishing journal titles from SANLIC, and a link to our transformative agreements. I've also given you a comprehensive list of accredited journals that we receive the higher education training subsidy for. There's a way that you can find out about predatory journals and a listing using what we call the Clarivate Master Journal List. There's a link there that will take you to the Clarivate site, where you will see they have got a list of approved journals and, of course, journals that are not approved. And finally, there's a list here called Cabells Journal List, which gives you a list of approved journals as well as those that are not approved or are predatory. The scholarly publishing cycle, which you will become aware of, is, where researchers do their research. They begin the initial spade work, collecting data and analysis. Right? The researchers work, funders and the university pays. They proceed to the authoring stage, where the researchers do their work and the university pays. It goes to peer review, publication, discovery, dissemination, and placing into your institutional repository. Selecting your journal. Why do you publish? It's part of your scholarly research. It's part of your study requirements. It's part of the faculty academic canon, or as part of publishing new findings on specific research topics. The criteria for selecting a journal. You have to ensure that the journal has a clear peer review policy or guideline. Yes, colleagues, some deep reading is required here. The journal has a sound editorial review board consisting of a panel of reliable and well-cited scholars. Subject focus is open to rigorous verification. It is traceable through various indexing platforms. You can use a manuscript match option on various databases, for example, Clarivate and Scopus, to check and find out where you did. The publisher will identify a journal for you to publish in and match it to your publication. In all of this, if all else fails, do consult us and our research librarians, and we will help you. Scopus. Scopus is a database, right, that has recently mustered together a panel of experts to put together content in the artificial intelligence principle. Right? It is an intuitive and intelligent research tool powered by generative AI that enhances your understanding and enriches your insights with unprecedented speed and clarity. It is built in close collaboration with the academic community, serves as your trusted guide through the vast expanse of human knowledge found in Scopus, the world's largest multidisciplinary and trusted abstracts and citation database. What is very pertinent about Scopus AI is, you type in your text, you don't have to use Boolean operators. You just type in your text as it is. What it does is it goes into its own, the Scopus backend, and matches publications that are in there that has been covered by Scopus editors, not just willy-nilly dragged from or web crawl from the internet. It will give you data in clusters, scatter graphs, text, narrative. We will be holding a tutorial on this in the next few months when we have postgraduate workshops. This is just only an introduction to Scopus AI. It is very, very tightly controlled by the editorial board of Scopus. Nothing comes in there that's junk, you know.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Nokuthula Ndlovu, and I'm just going to be going through an overview and differences of what literature review is. I think many of us know what a literature review is, as well as the difference from it, and normal narrative literature review, as well as your systematic review. So my topic today is exploring the contrast in narrative and systematic literature reviews in academic research. So this is more, maybe I should put a disclaimer, this is more for people that are doing their, you're writing your journal article, your academic journal articles, you're doing your thesis, you're in a process of doing your thesis. So in that sphere, this is what my presentation is really based on. Okay, so the overview, there will be an introduction. The narrative, I will explain what it is and give you some examples and the steps involved in the narrative literature review, as well as in systematic review literature. I will also share with you the distinctions between the two and explain how a librarian is involved in the systematic review process in particular. And then there will be a conclusion at the end. So, yes, so the differences between narrative and systematic review, I'll be clarifying their definition, methods, and providing examples. So reviews play a very crucial role in synthesizing existing knowledge and information and informing further research. So you cannot do, basically what this means is that you cannot do your thesis or your research or even writing your journal article without going through this process of doing a literature review. So the two most prominent literature reviews in our academic sphere are our narrative literature reviews, which are very more prominent in our social sciences side, and then the systematic reviews, which are more prominent in the pure health sciences. However, they are now coming into our social sciences side. Okay, so to define a narrative literature review, it encompasses a wide scope. It involves the collection, the critique and summarization of journal articles and textbook pertaining to a specific subject. Typically, these reviews are conducted to gain. So this is explaining to you why would you do a narrative literature review. So you are doing this to gain a comprehensive understanding of the overall topic, potentially pinpointing areas where literature may be lacking. All right, so while you are doing your research. Okay, so these are the steps that are involved. So in a topic, I just came up with a topic that is kind of broad that everybody maybe would understand. People who have children and they have gadgets that they are using, they're going online. So you would want to go to maybe explore this topic, the impact of technology on childhood development, all right? So what would be your objective when you're doing a literature review on this? Your objective is to provide an overview of existing literature on effects of technology usage on childhood development and identify potential gaps. So that's your objective in providing a literature review or going through a literature review process. The steps involved are, so you're doing your literature search, you have to come up with keywords first, then you go to your databases, whether it's Google Scholar or many other databases that your librarian will direct you which databases to use, because there's plenty of databases, there's hundreds of databases that are available, but your librarian will actually direct you that these are the actual databases that you can use for your topic, all right? Mm-hmm. So when you're doing your literature search, come up with the keywords. So the keywords that I came up with out of this topic would be your technology, childhood development, screen time, and digital media. So once you are using those words, then you can gain and get the relevant information pertaining to your topic. The next step is article selection. So when you gather all your information, then you select the relevant articles. Thereafter, there is something that we call data synthesis. So in this process, you examine various aspects of technology impact on childhood development. Then the last stage in narrative literature review would be your critical analysis. So in critical analysis, where you assess the strengths and the limitations of individual studies within those articles that you have gained, right? Right, coming to systematic literature reviews. A systematic literature review is a structured and comprehensive synthesis of existing literature on a specific research question. So usually, the difference between the two is that here you come up with a research topic first, and you want to go and find information if other people have already written about this and what have they said. It's more or less the same. However, in this case, you just want to gauge, you don't want to do something that has already been done. You want to find a way to to put information or to put knowledge that is not there as yet. Okay, so it follows a predefined protocol to minimize bias and ensure reproducibility. All right, so the picture that I have on the side here, this is what is called a PRISMA protocol. It's available online. It's the steps that you follow. It's very rigorous steps that you need to follow in terms of when you are doing your systematic literature review. And just to add on to this is that when you're doing this as a researcher, you don't do it by yourself. You always have a team. It's always a team of people, maybe about 3 people that you do in order to do a systematic literature review. Okay, so more on systematic literature review. These are the steps that are followed. You formulate your research questions, as I've said. There's a protocol, development, literature search. All right, so your literature search is actually the 3rd step. Then you do your article screening. One of the things that is very important, that is very particular about systematic review is that you do a data extraction. So you extract relevant data from the literature that you've got, and then you have to actually know prior into going to searching what are the things that I'm going to include in my in this process, and what are the things that I'm going to exclude. All right, but that formulation that I showed prior to this slide, you can actually follow it, and then it will help you. And then the other one is your quality assessment. So you need to assess the quality of included studies using predefined criteria, often involving tools like there is something that is called Cochrane, risk of bias tools. It's available in the health sciences, and it's also available online, and most of international universities, even in our universities here in South Africa, they have this tool. Okay, so the second last step is data synthesis. You analyze, synthesize data using appropriate statistical and qualitative methods. Last step is reporting. You need to report in all the steps, what have you found? So what have you found? What have you included? What have you excluded? And when you are doing all this, you need to explain why you excluded this, why you excluded that. And even in the data extraction process, you also need to explain each and every step as well. All right, so I've made a table here that actually differentiates between the 2 literature reviews. I'm not going to go through it. I think it's going to take time, but it's available on my on this presentation. If you need this presentation, I can share with you. All right, so this step is how does a librarian is involved? As I said earlier, there is a team of people that should be involved in systematic reviews, and one of the team members, very important, is your librarian. All right, so the librarians provide valuable and concrete contribution to systematic review, search methods, quality. Systematic review teams that involve librarians are most likely to report their search strategies. So librarians actually help you with the search strategy. They can write that down for you and show you how that works. They help you search relevant databases. As I said earlier, that they actually know which databases that are pertaining to the topic or the research question you came up with. They also can help you register your search protocol. The last thing is that librarians outside the health sciences, this is just to mention overall, that we are offering this type of, support when you are doing your systematic reviews, and it's outside of the medical fields. We are offering in social sciences, in business, management, humanities. So we are able to collaborate with all our researchers in terms of going through this process. So if you are thinking of going through this route, it is very important that you contact us in the library. Okay, in conclusion, narrative and systematic review serves distinct purposes in academic research. While narrative reviews provide qualitative overviews, systematic reviews offer rigorous and reproducible synthesis of evidence. Understanding the disparities between these two types is crucial for researchers to choose the most appropriate approach for their research questions. Yes, and that's the end of my story. This is myself and my contact details. Thank you very much.